Alright, I'm not going to make this long, but I wanted to break down to you my whole workflow, especially my workflow when I'm going for placements. Don't know if you guys have noticed, probably have noticed, but like pretty much every video that I post, I'm wearing a black tee and normally like some black joggers or mainly just black. Now I don't just have like one set of clothes, there's method to this. I think it was like at Christmas and I just decided that I need to go full throttle with this. I was kind of trying to upload consistently. I was, maybe uploading a video every like 2 or 3 days. But I was really like, I need to do this all the time and just really try and push this year with it. So if I want to work from home, if I want to self-employ myself and try and make a full-time living out of this, then I'm gonna need a uniform, because I was just sort of waking up, rolling out of bed, just throwing anything on, and then I don't know, it just kind of affected my day. I felt like I just wasn't ready to do stuff, so I just thought I'm gonna order 5 or 6 black t-shirts, some plain trousers. I don't have to think about what I'm gonna wear, but at the same time, like, it's kind of like a routine of putting on, like technically a uniform. This is probably all complete bullshit, but I thought if you guys are at home and you may be struggling for motivation, then that helped me a lot. Just the whole process of just, putting on those set clothes, getting into uniform, then it just sets the routine for the day of going down, do my outreach, do my marketing first, then make a couple of beats, then get them uploaded, and it just sets a good routine for the day, and it just helps a whole lot. So I feel like I could help you guys too. Yeah, that's all I've got to say on that matter. Anyway. Alright, I'm not going to make this long, but I wanted to break down to you my whole workflow, especially my workflow when I'm going for placements, in terms of how I go about making the melody, how I go about turning them into loops, structure, arrangement, all of that. I'm going to try and break this down as best as possible in this video. And this isn't just for the beats I make for placements, this goes down to all the beats that I upload to my beat store as well. And this is completely different to a lot of tutorials that I've previously shown you. So yeah, let's just get into this and stop talking, shall we? So basically what I do is start off with a melody. That's like the standard procedure, but I do this a little bit differently. So I get the whole melody made into one pattern. I get everything done. I get the chord progression in there, I get the top melody, I get the counter melody, I get some layers put in there, some little vocal chops, and then when I get to a point where I'm happy with that full loop, I then do a few extra things. So I'm going to try and make this as I'm walking you through it, so I'm not just talking at the camera, you can actually see it in action as well. So I literally got this really simple set of chords, just inverted a couple of chords, and I'm just going to build on top of that until I've got something I'm happy with. Alright, cool. So that's my melody done. Now if you take a look at all the sounds barring the expand, which I probably will do in a second, I've put them all into the mixer. It doesn't matter what track, but I put them all into the mixer, and I've added effects to pretty much every sound. Now that's so important, especially in 2020, because everybody has the same VSTs, everybody has Omnisphere, Expand, Arcade, they've got all these plugins. So now it's down to you to be creative and put those effects on that's going to make it a lot different to what everybody else is using. So now whenever I make a beat, I make sure that I make the sound different. I like to manipulate the sound quite heavily and make it sound completely different. Not all the time, but most of the time. So if you take a look here, I've got this really basic chord progression. This is what I started with. Okay, put it into the mixer, added this delay. It's like a 1-step delay, so it's quite a quick delay. And then I added vinyl just to make it sound a bit more downsampled. So yeah, that's what I did to that sound. Then I just sort of added some layers, added a little bit of a top melody, some chords that are gonna fill out the melody but are quite subtle as well, like this Rhodesy sound right here. Guitars, vocal sounds. You want to use a fair amount of sounds, and there's no like exact number because every beat's going to be different. All of these midis, all of these are all very similar. The chords are the same. Some of them are inverted, some of them are up an octave, some of them are down an octave, but they're all the same. There's no like crazy music theory in here. And then on top of that, you're putting all of these sounds into the mixer and you're adding these effects. So you've got the delay, I've got halftime on one of them, I've got this back mask, like reverser plugin, which is really good. Reverb, you know, you've got tons of stuff that's going to make it feel realistic and like it's sat in a room. Yeah, that's the first thing that I do, is I get the melody done. What I then do is just drop it into here and arrange it. I'm going to arrange just the loop. I'm not even thinking about drums at this point. I'm going to arrange the melody into a full beat, you know, into like a 2-minute beat, 2-3 minute beat. And again, there's no exact science, but what I tend to do is have the majority of the sounds playing, but then I take everything out and just have the solid core part of the melody playing. And then I slowly bring things back in. So it's like everything, nothing, and then it's slowly, everything else comes back in slowly. So it would be like everything, and then let me just copy these over. And then I would get rid of, I don't know, one of the guitars. I'd get rid of that vocal chop. Okay, it's still too full for me. Like, I really want like the majority of the sounds to duck out. I really just want like a huge amount of space in this part here. So what I'm gonna do is make this unique, this piano layer, and I'm gonna take that bass note out, because that's like filling out the low end and I want to get rid of that. Right, I'm going to knock those keys up an octave as well. So I've deleted the bass note and I'm knocking it up an octave. That is sounding nice to me. So now I'm going to take this across to another loop and I'm going to put in the arcade. I'm going to put in that vocal chop and this expand right here. It's like a little pad sound. Let's see how that sounds. I'm happy with that. Now I'm going to add one more bar before we go back to everything, because it's quite an up-tempo beat. So I'm going to take this across and maybe take one element out. So maybe just take the labs out and then we'll go back to the beginning right here. So that is it. So that's all I'm going to do. That's like a full part of the song. And then all I'm going to do after that is repeat it like that. Play around with it, you know, do what you want to it. But once you're happy with it and you've got that structure where you're at a point where you're, at peace with the loop, then you're just going to bounce it out as a WAV file. So I'm just going to select everything, come to tools, consolidate from selection start. Okay, and that's basically the hardest part. So we've got the loop, now it's just a matter of putting in the drums. And then there's one little trick that I normally do now with the melodies just to give it like a nice, like realistic and old school texture, like it's playing from a record player. Now what I want to do right now is start afresh, because we have the loop right here. I just want this in a brand new project, so I don't have like all these extra plugins open, and it just becomes a bit messy, because then you've got all of these random assigned tracks and all your effects. So what I'm going to do now is save this, and then I'm going to start a new project. Then I'm going to come up to recent files, and then the bounced loop that we've just made is right at the top right there. You just drag and drop it. Rematch the tempo so that you're at the same tempo as you was before. Okay, so now there's one little trick. You don't have to do it, but I like to do it. It just gives it like a really nice, like downsampled, old school kind of vibe to it. So what I want to do is come to this loop right here, right click this, bring it into Edison, right click the sample rate, and just put in a number of your choice. Anything that's below this number will kind of take some of the high end out and make it just sound a bit more like old school. You're basically just downsampling the loop. But I normally go anywhere between 5,000 and like 20,000. So I'm going to try 15,000. Make sure that you've got resample and tempo sync put in, because then it's not going to stretch anything and put anything out of key. So this is before. Okay, and this is the downsampled. Okay, I'm going to go a little bit further. I'm going to go down to 12,000. Okay, that sounds pretty dope. So I'm going to drop that into the project right now. Get rid of the original loop, because we don't want that. We don't need that anymore. I'm happy with that loop right now. So I'm going to rebounce this out. And the reason why I'm doing all this extra bouncing out is just I want the workflow to be as clean as possible. So you want to get the loop to a point where you are ready to just go in and add drums, and then when you come to mixing it, it becomes super easy. So yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and bounce this out again as another loop. All right, that's the hard bit done. So get your melody done, put all your effects in, bounce it out as a loop. You can downsample it if you want, add extra effects, and then make sure that you've just got one finalized loop in one project. Now we're going to go in and just add the drums. Now this isn't really like, there isn't no set way to do this. The only thing I will say is keep it simple. You don't want to have lots of variation with the drums. You need to have a super simple drums, that are nice and catchy. They've got a good bounce to them, and you just want to let the melody do the talking. So yeah, I'm just going to throw in some drums right now. I'll probably speed this up as well, and then we'll just go into how I, structure out the drums. All right, cool. So The main like premise of this like is super simple. Like the hi-hat's super simple, just every 2-step. Open hi-hat, like, you know, the exact same pattern for every bar. I mean every 2 bars, sorry. Just repeats. So it's just play the drums by themselves. Perk, just one little hit at the beginning. Simple. You don't want to make it way complicated. You just want to have the bass follow the melody, give it some nice bounce, you know, short, snappy 808, and then just come in with the rest of your drums. So that's the main thing, is just make sure that you're not having your drums change up all the time and have loads of different elements and you know, it just kind of takes away from the melody a little bit. But once you're happy with those drums, then it's just a matter of arranging it with the melody. So what I like to do is just duplicate them all the way across the loop, you know, put them all the way across, and then just play the beat from the beginning, and then whenever you feel like there should be some change or the drums should duck out of the way, you just go and do that. That's the best way I can go about doing it. So I'm just going to go through, speed this up and get this done. Alright, cool. Happy with it. I'll just run mine through and let you know what I did and kind of why I did it. So we got the intro with nothing playing, just a melody. Oh, and my new tag, by the way. Got my new
LLB.
tag. Got a female tag.
LLB. LLB.
Okay. Drums come in, the original pattern. So in my head I've got this as either the hook or like the chorus. Still the chorus. Okay, and then the drums duck out of the way for the last bar. And then there's a separate drum pattern right now. Okay, so all I did in this to make it different was take out one of the 808s. So the 808 normally hits like there. That's where it was. I just took this one out, and then the 808 comes out completely, and it's just the hi-hats, just the percussion. You know, just takes it out completely, and then nothing. And then we're basically back to the beginning. So we've got that, you know, sort of intro, sort of lots of space for the artist to do like some ad-libs and like talking. Okay, so let's just simplify this. If the drums were playing throughout the whole beat, so if you're just looking at it right now, ignore this pattern right now, let's look at this one right here. If you were to just have the drums playing throughout the whole beat, this is what it looks like. So you've got the original drums playing for 2 8 bars, then the variation for 2 8 bars. Original drums for 2 8 bars, then the variation for 2 8 bars. So it can literally be as simple as that. You have that structure, and then you add a few chops. You know, you take the drums out completely. But if you stick to that structure, that's what's going to give it the nice, easy to follow structure. But it also gives it some really nice direction, and you know, keeps the listener's attention. So that is literally how I'd go about it. Now, the last thing that I'd normally do is add, you know, some kind of riser. So I've got these drum fills. Well, that sounds quite cool. All right, let's stretch it so we have got it sitting on bar. And then we've got the full beat, and then after that it's just down to putting all the sounds in the mixer and then following that mixing tutorial that I previously made. I'm not going to go into the whole mixing process because I literally have just made a mixing tutorial and you don't have to do all that. So that is the whole workflow. So make the melody, get that down, then go ahead and add in your effects. Make sure you're adding some really cool effects. Then bounce it out, you know, downsample it, add a few more touches to it if you want to, and then just go in with the drums. But the whole sort of premise behind this, and the reason why I really like this kind of workflow, is that everything's organized, everything's really clean, but at the same time you can just be really creative with it. At the same time, you'd have to waste time trying to find stuff. You've got everything right in front of you all the time. This has made things a whole lot simpler for me, and my work rate has gone way up, and the quality has gone way up, and it's just really helped everything. So yeah, hope that has helped. And as well, if you do get to this point, you're done, and you want to mix it down, you want to get it mastered and sounding loud, then I have dropped a free mastering chain that you can download. I'll put the link down below, and that just saves even more time. So if you want to get on that, then yeah, the link is down below.